you, Danna, for joining us today are you in the Netherlands today? Is that where you
I
are?
am in a beautiful sunny Netherlands, in Amsterdam actually, and yeah, it's beautiful over here. So it's a
Excellent.
great day for an International Women's Day.
Excellent. So Danna Drion is a marketing leader currently serving as the general manager of marketing and product management for Mimaki Europe B.V, where she has overseen operations across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa since 2017. She holds a degree in business economics and marketing from the University of Amsterdam and has enhanced her experience through executive education at INSEAD, one of the world's top graduate business schools. With a career spanning multiple industries, including printing, business intelligence, and cloud technologies, Danna has played a pivotal role in developing and executing impactful marketing strategies that deliver results. Her leadership at Mimaki Europe is driven by a passion for continuous innovation, aligning marketing and technological advancements, and to attract and inspire the next generation of professionals to the industry. As the first advisory board member for Girls Who Print Europe, Danna is committed to shaping programs and events that empower women and foster greater inclusivity in the printing sector. Welcome so much to International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day, and thank you for all you have done already for Girls Who Print, Danna Drion.
I definitely think, Deborah, you need to do my PR because it really sounds excellent. So yeah, we need to talk about that as well.
Okay, well, Claire is on the meeting, so we'll pull her into that. Okay, can you share your journey into the printing industry and how you navigated your career to your current leadership position, please?
Okay. As you said already, I studied business economics and marketing on the University of Amsterdam. And my last assignment for the university was to investigate if there were internet possibilities to buy and sell products. And we need to think about that was not 10 years ago, but much longer. So that was completely new, but I was being completely triggered by innovation and technology from that moment. And I was very young, 22. And at that moment, I was really triggered by innovation. I was graduated and I thought, okay, what am I going to do? And I started with a really big, large IT company worldwide as a trainee, did a whole traineeship, etc. And I found out that I really find it fascinating how technology can, take over our world in a positive and in a negative way. But I was triggered by the constantly development of technology. So I had a career 23 years in IT telecommunication, been in software environment, worked in the US, worked for big companies, big corporates, small companies, scale-ups, worked in the USA as well. And then one day I was working for a scale-up. A recruiter called me that he had an amazing opportunity for me in digital print. And I was like, digital print, what does that mean? Is that a desktop printer? I always have a fight with those. So I was like, not interested. Immediately I said, not interested. But no, he said, no, it's a Japanese company, this and that. And I was triggered by the fact that he was calling me for this. Like, why should you, right? They were constantly calling me for competition roles for other big software companies or telecommunication companies. But this one was completely new and it was a Japanese company. I worked for American companies, Australian, Israeli, German, but never worked for an Asian company and definitely not for Japanese. So I was really triggered. But I was so triggered from the first time that I came into the company and I saw the showroom. I was impressed about the technology. I didn't know shit about it, to be honest, and I'm still not an expert. I'm very honest. I'm not an engineer. That's not what it is, but I'm still triggered every day on the technology part, on the things that we can do, the things that we can do in our industry. And I didn't have a clue that we constantly see our digital print industry products in our daily life. I didn't have a clue that things were being printed, things that you take for granted. That was really something that impressed me, and it still does. If you see what we can do with 3D technology and where it's going to, that's amazing. And I'm constantly looking at it, talking with experts, talking with designers, for instance, in the 3D environment, and seeing, okay, where can we go with our technology into products, which we don't even think about. So that is interesting for me, and that's how I joined the industry. So to be honest, besides that, I'm now here almost for 8 years at Mimaki. I'm not coming from that industry. I'm coming from an IT software company environment, very corporate. I was being brought up, as I'm being said, in a really big corporate environment, American, really targeted driven. And I entered that market when there was this internet bubble coming in, and it was 99% men. And we came in with, I know, a couple of ladies over there, and we started that. And I always remembered when I was being asked by another colleague, an older lady sales person, who said to me, yeah, we are going to start Women in IT. That I'm talking about 25 years ago. And she said to me, yeah, it's going to be interesting, this and that could be big. Now I looked at it up, it's more than millions of people are memberships in Women in IT. But it started somewhere, and we saw that it's growing. When I was starting in the industry, it was super male dominated. I'm not saying it's now 50-50, definitely not. But you can see a very big difference if you compare it with 25 years ago. And what I found out my first impression of the digital print industry was like very traditional in every sense. I was like, okay, this is really a different world besides the technology. And yes, it's very male dominated, and also a certain age. That's what I found out as well. Very less young people in this industry, which I never understand, and I still don't understand it, because we have such an interesting industry. But that is something that was like, okay, so everybody wants to work in the IT environment because we have baristas and whatever, Googles, and you know what I mean? But why do they don't want to work in our industry, which is such a fascinating industry, such an interesting, engaging, big evolutions everywhere, and we don't catch those Gen Z generations. So that was for me my first defining. After half a year, I was like, okay, what does that mean? How are we going to do that? How it will develop? So those were my, let's say, first steps when I entered the market.
I mean, one of the missions of Girls Who Print, based on something you just said, is so important, because the younger people don't understand what their career path can be, and they do not understand at all the amount of jobs that are in the printing industry, from being a chemist to a marketing person to a creative person to an engineer to a product developer. I mean, there are just so many things. I always say when I speak to the students, if you want to work at Apple or Google, you would want to work in the printing industry. A PDF is a computer program, and a press at this point is essentially a computer, and you're programming it to give you the results that you want. Something I want to touch upon is something you mentioned about 3D printing. And I have to say that no matter where I am at an event, I walk into a Mimaki booth, and I'm always surprised that you have been 3D printing for quite some time now. There's always a display, but there's other things in the booth. I think most people think of Mimaki as wide format equipment, but it really is so much more than that now. We haven't had a Mimaki person on, so if you could just let everybody know, because quite frankly, Mimaki supports Girls Who Print. Everybody should support Mimaki. So let people know what they can come to you for, and then we'll move on to the next questions.
I'm not going to do a PR moment here, but I'm just going to be very firm and very honest about it. I think Mimaki is actually now celebrating their 50 years anniversary, which we are going to celebrate huge in our new fiscal, which will start on the 1st of April. We as Mimaki are being represented in basically every segment, meaning in the SG market, in the IP market, in the 3D market, and in the textile market. And in all of those segments, we have entry models, large and high-end models. So we have something for everyone always. That's what we have. And our technology is not limited only in textile or large format printing. We have many other options. I think that is the quality of Mimaki, that we have a constantly innovation going on in our R&D department. And I think that makes us unique if you compare us with others, that we have something for everyone. And we have, like, at the moment, more than 50 plus different products available in the markets. Yeah. And we are basically everywhere. We are based in 55 countries.
Yeah.
We have a very huge partner network where we work very closely with. So yeah, we are representing basically everywhere. And if you look at our InfoSource numbers, which we all do as market leaders, we are very well positioned basically in all of our segments.
And I definitely encourage everyone to go into a Mimaki booth. You will always find something in there going, I didn't realize you could print this, and they always have really great wrap displays going on, people wrapping like really cool things in there. And a lot of women, by the way, wrapping for Mimaki in the Mimaki booth, especially at the events in the United States. So I always love visiting a Mimaki booth. And Carissa Torway is one of our favorite people here. She is a Mimaki person from the United States, and she actually uses the Girls Who Print logo and makes samples to give out at the trade show with Girls Who Print. So shout out to Carissa.
Carissa is definitely somebody who we have a very high, everybody likes this kind of type of profile. What I really like at Mimaki is that we have this diversity and we have women on jobs, not only on marketing, of course, right? But we also have them as a technical engineering, for instance, or as an application specialist. And I think you are mentioning Charissa, which is really phenomenal application specialist and knows everything from our machine and what we can get the best out of our machine from an application point of view.
Yeah, she's awesome. I catch her sessions at the booth every time I possibly can, and I always learn something from her. And like I said, she's been a supporter of Girls Who Print forever. How do you approach risk taking, and what risks have paid off for you?
First of all, personally, I'm always a risk taker from the beginning, because when I graduated from university, big companies, big banks came to us and recruit us for trainee programs. I didn't go that way. I didn't start at an ABN AMRO whatsoever because I wanted to do something different. So that is in my genes already. So that is not something that you can learn. What I found out during my career is that if I take a risk sometimes, it will fulfill my journey and my quality even better. I worked for more than 10 years in a corporate, huge company, and I thought, okay, that's great. I can do my job here. But what does it mean if I need to do it in a startup where there's nothing available? Am I still that qualified manager? Can I still lead a big team when there is no team, basically, and I need to bring it all in? What is the difference? So I took a risk. I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to see how that works. I'm going to look into that new kind of company style, see if that's suitable for me in my career as well. So that was a first risk that I took. And then again, I was at companies like Microsoft, etc., which are very well established. I started in a company and they were selling open source software, which was free. And I was like, okay, how are we going to make money of open source software, which is nobody knew about it. But I started there, I took the challenge. We grew the company. After 8 years, was more than $1 billion company. I'm not saying that but I was part of that success. I grew in that company. I came in as a manager, grew in. I had a responsibility first for Benelux region, then I expanded it to across whole EMEA. And I saw that company grow from a really small engineering company to a huge corporate company. And that kind of risk I always want to take. And that same feeling and that risk I took to move out of my industry and move into the digital print industry, which was completely new for me. But I took that challenge, I took that risk, and I like it still. It's very something that I really still very like to do. Taking risk gives me the opportunity to grow myself. I
Yeah.
think that is for me extremely important.
Yeah, I actually mentioned this in another session that I spoke to somebody about later on, that there's an African proverb that says, without risk, there is no reward. And
No.
so you have to take chances. Now, I'm not sure if this question touches upon what you just said, but um, is there a pivotal moment in your career that changed your perspective on what success is for you?
That's a very good question, actually, Deborah, because when I was younger, I started as being said already, very big. My first big company was a huge telecommunication company, and they had all these American programs to become a manager. You go in a training program for years. I was applying for that, and my manager at that moment said to me, of course, a man said to me, "You will never gonna be successful. You will never gonna be a manager. You have a way you have a way too big appearance. You are way too not corporate style enough. You have the knowledge, but we'll never take you on." And I thought, okay, what am I going to do with that? That moment for me was so critical. I was not even 30, and I thought, okay, how am I going to change? I changed jobs. I went to another company. Within 2 months, I was in the excellent program. Within a year, I was a supervisor, and they trained me to become a manager. Um, I always thought, okay, I'm gonna go back to that company. I'm gonna tell this guy that he was wrong. I had that feeling. But during my development of my career, there came something different. He was a trigger for me to stand up and say, you know what, I can do this. I don't need you. I will prove myself to you that I'm more than that. But then I became manager, senior manager, etc. And then I started to work with teams. I did a lot of courses, 360 courses, as Jennifer was mentioning as well. And that reflected back to me, like, do I need justification? Do I need to have satisfaction? No, because something else came in there, and that said to me, I'm getting my satisfaction from the fact that my team respects me and that I'm doing it differently. That guy was doing management by fear. I am trying, and I still do, and hopefully I have a lot of team members today joining me and listening, that I'm not a type of manager who's saying management by fear. I would like to see myself manager as example. So I want to let and give my people the possibility to grow, and that's what I want to be. And that is a significant moment for me. I think I was 30, 31, that I found out that that is a goal for me. That is not something that you learn, you feel it, you want to be part of a journey of a young lady or young woman, doesn't matter, man, it doesn't matter, young person, to drive him and to guide him into his career or her career. And that was for me, that triggered me from the beginning, because like I said, that guy didn't do that. He did the opposite for me. But now I learned from it. That was my biggest learning point. And actually I saw him after 15 years later, and I actually thanked him. I said to him, you were a trigger for me. And he felt really embarrassed, really embarrassed. But that was really a good moment for me. And I think also I still have that continuation of that feeling, like if I can help somebody or I can guide somebody in his job, in his career, in his personal life, that gives me the biggest satisfaction in my job.
Success is the best revenge, as they say.
Yes.
You know, it's so interesting that you did not mention money once as a measurement of success, where, in America, success is money. We do have that, we do connect those two things. And that was something that I learned along the way too, that I thought success was clicks and likes and interactions on social media and raising prices and for the few things I do that I actually charge people for. And when I get a note from somebody that says, I just want to tell you something you wrote or something you said or an event that you took part in or something had a meaning for me, and it to use your word, it triggered me to do something differently, to try to get this job even though I didn't think I was qualified for it, to stand up for myself. To me, that is the ultimate success, one person at a time. And if it's only 10 people, then it's 10 people. And I am thrilled to death that 10 people found something I did meaningful for them. And that is what success is. On the other end of it, something you said is also very important, your own perception of your own success. There was this crazy job I had to do in an advertising agency, which is called traffic, which is basically you run everything all around the agency and you're responsible for scheduling everything. And I was working on a Citibank account, and I had to release 40 investment ads every week in different markets with different legal requirements for investments. And in Florida, where there's a lot of older people, the type had to be bigger. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy job. And the executives from Citibank were coming to the agency to review all the work. And I had to get 40 ads through the agency before 8 o'clock, before they came over. And I am the only one who knows how I got that done. Nobody said thank you. I mean, I never stopped. It was like a giant game of Tetris. And at the end of that day, I realized that I had to be proud of myself for what I had just done and know that a lot of other people could not have done it. And I truly mean it. I never stopped during the day. I knew where everything was. And it was like became this thing that gave me confidence that if I can do that, there's nothing in advertising I can't do, because that was literally the craziest day of my career. So everything you're saying is so important, and I just wanted to echo it in a different way. Now, something I'm not so great at is negotiation, believe it or not. What are your strategies for negotiating salaries, and promotions, and for leadership opportunities when you want to go after them?
I think there's not one word for it. There's not one solution for that. I think number one is that you do your homework first, because what I saw a lot in the past that people come to me, team members, or I want to have a salary raise, or I want this and that, without not even investigating what exactly do you mean? How is the market running at the moment? What is realistic and what's not? And when I was younger, talking about money, talking about growing into in your career, you have this perspective. When you're younger, you're thinking about, oh, I want to make more money. How am I going to do that real quickly? You have those timelines for yourself. Oh, when I'm becoming 30 or 40, I want to earn this or that. It's not about that. It's about see, okay, what can you value to the company? Is it worthwhile? Are you doing already for such a long time something extra? Do you feel that you have an extra, bringing an extra contribution to the company? Those are things that you need to have very well for yourself on the radar to even start negotiating about salary increases. It's not about, oh, that person gets more, so I want to have more as well. That is stupid and doesn't work at all. But I heard it so many times the last 20 years. Doesn't work. What works is timing. Timing is everything from my perspective. If you did a fantastic project, or you're doing already half year working very hard, and there is a moment with your manager and you're discussing about your next steps, that could be a moment to say, okay, I want to move forward. How will it work? That is a moment that you are being evaluated on your task. You have you did an excellent job. The timing is so important in every company where I worked before and still is. There needs to be space as well, and you need to be realistic. I think that is super important to understand. And that counts for me as well, right? Like I said, When you're younger, you have this idea, okay, I need to move, I need to grow, I need to hop up, go on the ladder, earn more, earn more. You learn from that as well, because like Jennifer was saying, I'm not, sometimes I feel very old, and I am also not young anymore, but there is something more than only earning money, right? It's also about the work balance. It's also about, can you still handle that job? Because besides the huge salary, there is also a lot of responsibility that comes with it. It's not only talking about, oh yeah, I want to have the whatever car or whatsoever you want to have. That's not it. At the end of the day, you have the responsibility that comes with the job. Are you still okay with that? Because I speak a lot with young people who are entering the market, and they ask me like, oh, I want to become like you. Why? Yeah, you've got a beautiful house and this and that. I say, yeah, that's great. But it comes with something. It's not only the paycheck, the whole responsibility, the whole job comes with a lot of things. And I think we need to educate younger people on that to make them understand. And because they want to work 4 days a week, they want this and that. It doesn't come with this job, I can tell you that. It doesn't. So is money most important? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. So you need to make that decision for yourself, because asking for a salary increase has also a consequence in the job. And like I said, what I found out based on my own personal opinion, experience, sorry, is that if you transition to another company, there are, of course, possibilities more than if you want to grow within the company. That's normal, right? If you work for 20 years at a company, of course, there will be moments that you can apply for a salary increase, but it's much more difficult if I'm going to say, you know what, Jennifer, do you have a job for me tomorrow? Maybe I can negotiate my salary then a little bit better. But that's how it is realistically wise.
Yeah. So a lot of times when, I mean, I used to give people raises when I was working advertising agencies, and there is a proof point. Like, in other words, like you have to keep a list of the things that you've done that have benefited the company, that have saved the company money, that have
Yeah.
made things better for people. And I can tell you that my personal experience is that women have a problem tooting their own horn. What would
Yeah.
you say to that as somebody who's going to give somebody a raise based upon, I mean, there should be no assumption that your managers know everything that you're doing and how it impacted everything.
Yes. There is always a difference between, and I need to be honest, at Mimaki, we have a very good balance, like I said, or between women and men, and I'm very proud of that. Salary increase could be difficult when you are a woman if you compare yourself to a man. We still see that in Europe. We still see that also in our industry. It is difficult not to get frustrated. It's difficult not to get upset about it. But again, it's all about finding what's going on in the market. Educate yourself, looking around, come with real facts and figures, not with bullshit, to be honest, because a lot of people saying, oh yeah, but that person earns. No, that doesn't work. Come up with real figures, come up with real background. See what the market asks at the moment. Do a benchmark. Do
Yeah.
realistically benchmarking, and then come up with a good with providing yourself. And be also, if you believe in yourself, and I think that's most important, then you will also position yourself to your manager in the way that you need to believe in yourself first. You need to be convinced that you earn that salary increase based on facts.
One of the things Girls Who Print wants to do is to provide ranges of salaries. And then it's up to women to fight for what they believe their position is in that range. And you better have the backup for what you're commanding,
Yeah.
because the truth of the matter is that men are judged on their potential and women are judged on their accomplishments. So keep a list of everything you do. You don't have to, be like, I'm so great. I'm so great. Let other people say that about you. Just tell them how you've helped the company, how you supported the mission of the company, and why you are a valuable team member, to your most excellent point.
And
What?
actually, Deborah, that is something I want to say as well. If I look back in my own career, all the time, my promotions were not coming from myself, but I was being guided by my manager or somebody else. Because if you're doing a good job, it will be acknowledged by your company, by your manager, by other team members. That is what it is. You need to profile yourself within the company. And of course, when there are possibilities in companies like trainee programs or management excellent programs, those kind of things that a lot of companies have, that could be an option because you're getting nominated. So
Yeah.
that could be an option for to apply as potential candidate. But on the other side, if I look back in my career, I was always being, of course, sometimes I had difficult discussions about salary increases for myself. Could be very hard, could be very tough, but I was always being nominated for a new role or for, let's say, promotion. And I think that's the best way. But to come there, you need to profile yourself in
Yeah.
the good direction. And it's not only about talking, it's about doing, about fact
Yes.
checking, about all of those things.
I mean, visibility is a giant part of Girls Who Print's mission, and that includes women saying, I can be on that panel. I would like to write some
Yeah.
content for the website. I can share on social media about the company and get my customers excited, doing something and having events, and really just making sure that you're standing out in your responsibilities, bringing extra things, and that other people know that you're doing it. Everybody does not know what you're doing, no matter how visible you think that you are. I mean, I had a humbling experience at Hunker Innovation Days where I was sitting in the booth and a gentleman walked over to actually talk to somebody else. And I was like, hi, how are you? And he was literally like, who are you? I'm like, well, you're standing in my booth. He's like, yeah, but I wasn't here to talk to you. I was here to talk to somebody else. And I was like, okay, that was interesting, so you can never assume that everybody knows what you're doing, even though about 500,000 people can see what I'm doing, doesn't mean that everybody knows what I am doing, or you or anybody else. So sometimes you have to toot your own horn, which is a lesson I need to learn for myself. What role has mentorship played in your career, and who are some of your mentors?
Mentorship was always important for me. When I started my career, I was in like I said, again, this big American company where where managers were shouting to the audience. That is a long time ago. That cannot happen anymore. Trust me. That will never happen. But there was a moment that I was 23 years old, standing in a toilet, and I will never forget that. And a sales manager walked with me, a lady, and she came to me. She said, "Listen, never cry on the sales floor. Let me educate you. Let me take you under my wings, and let me learn how you need to develop yourself in this world." She made a big impact on me. She was the first person that I actually stand up for her as well. And there was another lady who also took a little bit more ownership on women on the floor. And if I look back to those women who are now CEOs of big companies because they had a huge career, I'm proud. I'm proud that they gave me the opportunity to learn from them. And I still have contact with one of those. So that is, I also had a fantastic man in my career, which was my manager at that moment. And he showed me that what means managing by example, what that means, because I saw those aggressive managers who were shouting and giving you bigger targets, etc. And this person did it completely different. He turned it around. He said to us, like, we need to do this together. And he praised his people. And what I really loved and learned from him, and I try to do that as well. And I hope I do that. And I constantly, if somebody in the team had a good idea, he never took the idea. He always said in the management meeting or whatsoever, it was not my idea. It came from my team, and it was this person. That is such a strong leadership skill that I love, that I really like. And I learned from that. And I hope I do the same. I hope I'm not saying to everyone, oh, I do everything, because I don't. And I know that. because my team is fantastic at the moment. They're much more talented than me. And that's why I can be successful. So yeah, and I try to do that the same in my private life. I'm a mentor on University of Amsterdam. So I'm coaching and educating youngsters to entering the market. So they are graduating. I'm helping them with the last part of their studies, taking the next step into the real world. And that gives me such a joy. Those are the things that I really, really love to do. Coaching people, standing next to them, getting the best out of it, and finding the talent in those individuals. And yeah, I hope that a lot of people are saying about me that I at least have the intention to become a manager like I had in the past of those beautiful important ladies that I had when I was very young, but also this guy who really was a fantastic manager and gave me really a good, good idea on how you need to become a good manager.
I think it's fair to say that everybody wants to hire the best person for the job. I think we all understand that. And then we have to start looking at who's being considered for jobs. And in many cases, if a woman is standing there, she's got 4 degrees. And if a woman of color is standing there, she probably has even more experience and degrees, because that is the way that the world currently works. So what advice would you give to women who feel they must prove themselves more than their male counterparts? And I mention this because we still are in a male-dominated industry.
I think it's important that you stick by yourself, right? Like I said already before, you need to market yourself. You are the number one who needs to believe in itself. If you are believing 100% in yourself, or at least 80%, not every day you believe 100% in yourself. I understand that. That is important. I think respectful behavior is better than, oh, everybody likes me, but having a good attitude, being respectful against your colleagues, being part of a team doesn't mean that you constantly need to be quiet. I think it's important sometimes to stand out and give a good story or a good reaction. Doesn't mean that you need to be part of the agorism of how men can behave, for instance. I'm not saying that they always do that, but it could be that they're becoming strong and that you need to be on the same level. That's not what I'm saying. A lot of women think, oh, I need to be that strong and that aggressive. No, you don't. You need to learn when you need to say something or to step in a good way, harmony, but bring them in with knowledge and experience. I think that is important. Every good company will recognize that. Stand up for yourself. You don't need to be liked by the whole world. That's not how it is. But people want to work with you. They see a value add. That is important, I think. Respect for against your colleagues and against yourself. I think that is important. Of course, you need to be assertive, because in a male-dominated environment, we all know if you be quiet, you sit in the corner, nobody will hear you. So you need to stand up. You need to sometimes be a little bit more louder, or make sure that people pay attention to you as well. Again, not aggressively, but with knowledge. I think that is important.
That ability to do that, however, comes from having confidence, and being able to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
What is your best advice for women, or anybody in the workplace to practically, in a practical, approachable way that they could do, to advocate for themselves and their careers?
Like I said, practice yourself. Be your best marketeer for yourself. That is number one important. But what is also important, be proud on your achievements, right? And make sure that they're being acknowledged. Be open and be honest toward your colleagues and your managers about that. But also, if you are sticking with communities internally or externally, that helps you to become stronger. Girls Who Print is an excellent example for that. I think that is key. Find your stakeholders within the company, become a team, work together, because then you are much stronger if you do everything by yourself individually. I think when you co-op with others, if you bring in those community sense, can be externally, can be internally, can be an expert session, can be part of a group, that helps, that really helps to give you the feeling that you belong something, and you can put yourself on a higher level as well.
Yeah. So, Danna, you're Danna Drion. You have a big title. You're very well known in Europe. Nobody messes with Danna Drion because you know what you're talking about. There's no reason for it. I would really like for you to share why you picked Girls Who Print as where you were going to plant your flag and be like, this is the group that I'm going to support. And by the way, thank you for that.
First of all, I don't think that people, hopefully people don't think only about me, don't mess with me. I hope people respect me in the way what I accomplish with, and I'm not accomplished with my team and as a company. I think that is important, that we have a good footmark in the market, because we try to be loyal, we try to be fluently and constantly renewing our ideas and innovate our technologies. I think that's number one. Number two, why did I choose for Girls Who Print? As being said already when we started this conversation, I joined Girls in Women in IT. I did that because I believed in the fact that when you are a part of a team, it can get the best out of myself. I believe in communities. I begin in gathering forces, joining forces. We can have a much more better voice in the market if you join a good community. So I thought, okay, Girls Who Print could be really something to work on and to become the number one community for our industry. I was actually surprised, and I had many conversations with Vespa, for instance, like, how is it possible that we have such a big industry and we are not having an association for women yet? And they said, oh no, we do have a couple of this and that. And I thought, okay, let's dig into that. I did that with the PR agency, and we found Girls Who Print, and we thought, okay, this could be really something to establish as well for the EMEA markets. And that's why I choose Girls Who Print, because I believe in the community to join forces all together. And that is the whole objective, right? To bring in new talent on board, to enable that new, and make sure that our industry stays alive, that we continually develop in our industry and make sure that we have the right talent, the new talent, girls, not only girls, also young boys. We want to gather those people. We want to catch them, and we want to be part of that journey.
Danna, thank you so much for choosing Girls Who Print, for championing women and men around the world. I would like to say that one of the major reasons that Girls Who Print is now open to allies is because of you, and the importance of us all working together while still working on things for women. We do also, as we learned from both you and Jennifer, there are some situations where you're only going to have male mentors because that's all that is available. And, in that, we want to support the gentlemen who want to support empowering women, and I don't want to say teach, but guide them on how to do that responsibly and respectively and equally, as we celebrate International Women's Day for all women and girls, equality, empowerment, and rights. So thank you so much, Danna Drion.